Hi, I'm Shrey. Welcome to our presentation where we will be discussing the key challenges and opportunities that Trilogy International are facing. Our in-depth analysis indicates that Trilogy's key challenges can be summarized as the following question. How to continue to grow internationally given increasing competition whilst retaining their New Zealand values and image? This question can be further delineated into three subcategories or issues. Firstly, the challenge to sustain international growth. Secondly, to be able to develop initiatives to deal with increasing competition in the global skincare industry. And thirdly, how to ensure that Trilogy continues to benefit from the retention of its New Zealand image. I'll hand you off to Dan and Angus, who will describe the sub-issues further.
From the analysis, we have identified that the global skincare industry is both a growing and fragmented market, consisting of over 24,000 brands, of which many are subsidiaries of large multinational conglomerates such as L'Oreal and Procter & Gamble. According to a report, the industry's growth rate is estimated to be around 4% annually, meaning that it is more challenging for Trilogy to both grow their market share due to new competitors entering the market. Historically, Trilogy has enjoyed growth in a stable market niche of natural skincare products. However, recently this market has become more hotly contested by its larger rivals. This possesses a challenge to Trilogy as they can no longer leverage high-quality natural skincare products as a unique point of distinction. Trilogy therefore needs to be one step ahead of the market. To do this, we have to develop new ideas and rapidly adapt to market trends such as premiumization, where premium products are seeing growing levels of demand, and an aging population in both Western and Asian markets, which increases the demand for anti-aging products. Trilogy would need to find a way to leverage these emerging trends to gain a first mover advantage in the new market niche. Trilogy's international growth to date has largely focused on entering markets with a low cyclic distance to the home market, New Zealand. This is due to there being less of a learning curve in committing to these markets, resulting on only slight adjustments to the overall business plan. The benefit of this is that there's an easier market entrance and approach, making it cheaper to enter said markets due to minor or no adjustments to their product range to meet different consumer preferences. However, in recent years, Trilogy has entered several key Asian markets such as Japan, South Korea and China, and as a result have had to adjust their product range. For example, they have created lighter formulations and face sprays to deal with more humid conditions.
In a bid to tap into the growing Chinese market, Trilogy have recently partnered with Alibaba as the owners of the Tmall online marketplace that hosts Trilogy's products. Alibaba's decision-making has a direct impact on Trilogy's market entry, particularly in relation to product visibility and presentation. Given that methods of entry into the Chinese market are largely restricted to joint ventures with domestic companies who can potentially commit intellectual property theft, it is essential that Trilogy safeguards themselves from unsolicited technology transfer. To mitigate this risk, Trilogy is consequently forced to use online retail platforms to access the Chinese market. Therefore, it is increasingly important to manage this business relationship to ensure that it does not derail and impede further market growth. In the Rio analysis, we identified that one sustained competitive advantage was the global reputation of New Zealand and NZ-made products in the international market. They will perceive New Zealand as a country that has abundant countryside, islands, soaring mountain peaks and never-ending rivers and streams. The worldview means that, without even having to say that a product is natural or pure, just having the Made in New Zealand logo on the front, the product is already deemed as natural. Not only is this great in terms of brand image, it's also useful in the sense that it can be used as a unique selling point against competitors, given the Trilogy that edge in a highly competitive marketplace. Maintaining this image is of great importance to Trilogy as it has many benefits. Based on our analysis, we have identified that Trilogy's manufacturing is dispersed across Australasia. There are two main disadvantages in having facilities located in different locations. Firstly, the perceived image of production in New Zealand is under threat due to the Australian facility, and secondly, logistical issues such as transport costs associated with the movement of goods between facilities can be costly.
From the previous analysis, we've recognised that in order for Trilogy to continue to be profitable in the increasingly competitive natural skincare industry, Trilogy must be able to identify and adapt to new trends that emerge, allowing for first mover advantages. Trilogy can leverage this by becoming more adaptable and flexible than larger competitors when exploiting new profitable trends. To become more flexible, Trilogy will need to A. Invest in R&D to identify new market trends, And B, look to diversify and increase its key ingredient suppliers. This is because their current niche market of rose oil products is being eroded further by Trilogy's larger competition. Because of this, it is essential that Trilogy capitalises and identifies its market trends, specifically in R&D for skincare. These new trends may require that Trilogy uses other raw materials which are currently not available through their suppliers and supply chains. By developing and negotiating relationships with prospective supplying partners, it will allow Trilogy to swiftly react to market change and become first movers whilst offering the added benefit of reducing the financial risk associated with having limited supply options.
We have identified that Alibaba is essential to use as a platform towards gaining market entry into China. Alibaba is China's biggest and leading e-commerce retail industry and fastest growing e-commerce market in the world. We understand for Trilogy to reach its highest potential of sales and growth, Trilogy will need to prioritise and manage its relationship with the online retailer. By managing a good relationship with Alibaba, Trilogy will be enabled with the full potential to reach its maximum economic growth based on its large customer base. Furthermore, it raises the opportunity for Trilogy to maximise its growth of gaining access into its intended markets, as favourable managed relationships may further gain additional visibility and presentation by Alibaba, in favour to those poorly managed relationships in the industry. Finally, the tools acquired in gaining access into this market will provide a platform and standard to implement towards gaining entry into alternative markets for further growth. For example, in the future, Trilogy could establish similar partnerships with online marketplaces in other Asian countries such as Amazon and Indonesia. Trilogy would need to ensure these online platforms are reputable to capitalise on the growing premiumisation trends.
Amazon. To ensure that Trilogy holds onto their sustained competitive advantage of the New Zealand pure image, Trilogy needs to ensure that they retain a significant portion of their supply chain in New Zealand so that they can legally leverage this as a unique characteristic of Trilogy. In recent news, the fashion brand World has come under fire after labelling their clothing with a Made in New Zealand tag despite the sourcing and manufacturing of the products being from Asia. Trilogy currently sources their products from Chile and manufactures in New Zealand and Australia. With the cost pressures associated with international business, many firms decide to outsource their production of their goods. However, Trilogy should avoid this and even look to bring their Australian manufacturing plant back to New Zealand to ensure that they do not lose the Made in New Zealand or pure New Zealand image like World has. An additional benefit to bring the entire manufacturing process back into New Zealand is that with the recent acquisition of CS & Go, Trilogy may be able to exploit economies of scale associated with having centralised manufacturing and distribution channels that CS & Go can offer.
In order to successfully achieve greater flexibility and sustain its international growth, certain measures can be implemented. Primarily, this consists of an effort to increase R&D. Specifically, there are two ways Trilogy can go about this. The first of these is accomplished through outsourcing the activity. By locating a reputable R&D organisation that specialises in skincare, Trilogy will be able to capitalise upon industry expertise and reap its rewards. In contrast, the next option Trilogy has is to invest internally and create its own R&D department. Importantly, this move would allow the company to retain total control on all future innovation. Following R&D, the required raw materials will need to be sourced and supplied accordingly. By nature, this will be an ongoing process as new discoveries are made. Let's go. To implement competition-based initiatives, it is crucial to solidify business relationships with other online retail platforms. Specifically, Trilogy can, in general, achieve this by proving itself a valuable customer, with both high volumes and on-time payments to boot. Current business relationships with Alibaba will also benefit from this approach. Although differences must be acknowledged, there remains a potential gateway for Trilogy to implement a similar online retail strategy in Japan with Rakuten Ichiban. That's the quote. Implementing steps to retain the advantages of the New Zealand image are also important. Alongside decisions to relocate parts of the supply chain back to New Zealand, cost management and other efficiencies must additionally be taken into account. For these reasons, it would be ideal to remain close to the existing CS & Go facilities. At a minimum, the process in opening a new factory involves identifying suitable buildings, purchasing or leasing the required site, establishing the required production needs, and obtaining the necessary workforce. Whilst recognisable benefits may be prevalent, the cost of disruption and availability of commercial factories also carry the potential to limit such changes to the long run.